On today's Let's Talk, we're talking about budget builds for beginners. Guys, I also want to preference that a lot of this is just my opinion based on my personal experience. These are just the steps that I would go through.
Son, once you start, there's no going back.
Okay, so you're already at the point where you've decided that you want to build a car. Welcome to the club. Something you should definitely consider is what kind of build are you trying to do? What focus of the genre are you going for? Do you want something performance based, or do you want something that's more show car based? Do you want something that you can rip on the track, or do you want something that you can take to Cars and Coffee and show it off? One of the first things that in this step you'd have to decide is what car that you're going to start with. So we're going to break it down. When you start putting pen to paper, things that you should consider are aftermarket strength. Are there upgrade parts? Are there things that are easy to find? Keep looking online, look for forums, get an idea of the community. Another thing to consider is repair costs. How expensive is it to get some of these parts that you may or may not need to repair the vehicle? There are three things that you have to consider if it's going to be cheap, fast, and or reliable. These are three things. You generally only get two, but if you get the trifecta, then you should be golden. Now that you've decided and you've purchased your vehicle, congratulations! We're moving on to the next step. Whether you've started a budget beforehand and you bought the car considering the budget, or you bought the car, you didn't care what it costs, now you're going to start putting a budget together. This is when you have to really ask yourself, how much are you really willing to spend and put into this car? So, being preemptive, you should put together a budget, but anticipate unforeseen repair costs. Write out a list. Look at everything that you want to put on the car and calculate the total, and then add about $5,000 to whatever that total is, because things are going to happen. So the next thing that I would recommend that you do is that once you have your newly acquired dream boat, take it down to a reputable shop and have them just do a once over on it. It doesn't matter what your skill level is. I would recommend that you do this because it's relatively inexpensive, and you would have someone who does this for a living just do a once over in your car. Plus, once you walk away, they'll print out a sheet that'll tell you all the stuff that they found on the car that needs repair. This will provide you a starting point, because if your car is not roadworthy or safe to drive, I would not spend any money on engine performance or whatever you want to do. Now that you've done all the repairs to make your car safe and roadworthy, now you're looking at parts that you want to start putting on your car, and you're thinking, where do I start? I would say consider where you want to be and how to get there. My personal, and again, this is just my opinion, is I'd start from the ground up. Tires are the first thing that contact the ground. Upgrading your tires, or even just putting new tires on your car, whether it's performance-based or a show car, can make a world of a difference. So for a performance-based build, I wouldn't worry about wheels just yet. I would do tires. I would do suspension and brakes. Those are the first three things that I would start with. Tires, suspension, and brakes will help the car perform totally different from when you first got the car. Your tires will help with your control, traction, and your braking better than an upgraded brake system will do. I still recommend getting your brakes upgraded, or even with just some new rotors and pads. It's not something that's truly super expensive, however it can be. There are some budgeted options out there that you can consider. This will help your braking performance, keeping your brakes cool to reduce brake fade. Upgrading your suspension, generally when you lower your car, it reduces your center of gravity, allowing you to make tighter turns. This will help you on the track as well. So once you've done your suspension, tires, brakes for your performance build, then you can start looking at things like an exhaust and air intake, because once you start messing with the engine itself, then you're going to have to start looking at getting a tune. So you want to do a show car, you want to take it to Cars and Coffee, and you want to impress a bunch of people with all the flashy lights and the cool stuff. So let's do wheels and tires. Wheels and tires can totally change the way the car looks. If you like the OEM but you want a different color, then paint them. That's a considerably cheaper option than to go out and spend $1,400 on a new set of tires. Suspension. Suspension is something else that you would want to consider. Do you want to bag it out? and you want it to just sit flush, or do you want it to have more of a stance look? These are things that you should consider. The last thing I would consider for a show car, if you're just starting out and you just want to get out there, is exterior. It's not limited to just paint. You want to do a body kit, by all means. Focus your budget on the body kit, because eventually you're going to have to paint it all one color anyway. Or you can even go for a wrap, which is expensive to have it done professionally, but that means that you can also do it at home. There's nothing stopping you from doing it at home. And if you're really on a budget, you might want to consider it. So when you're finishing up your show car and it's just good enough where you've got the exterior done to a point where it's tolerable, you've got some nice wheels and tires and some suspension depending on how you did it, the car's pretty much ready to go. Again, guys, I'm saying these things because this is just what I've experienced. A couple of things to consider is don't always buy the cheapest thing that you find. Find a good quality product at a good price. You try to go to AutoZone and it's too expensive, but you have the experience to turn wrenches, it might be a good idea to go to the local junkyard. You might be able to find what you need. Rebuild the component that you had just got your hands on. It may not be in the most ideal condition, but at least it's going to get you what you needed. That way you can continue to move forward. That's going to be the best part about whatever build that you decide to go with, is that there really are no rules. By all means, the sky's the limit. Understand that you shouldn't be really stressing out too much about this stuff. This should be fun. You should be having fun building your car up. It could take 2 years to have your car totally completed if you have the time, or if you don't have the time, it could take you 10 years. It just depends on how much effort and time you can put into it. Well, that's going to be all that I have for you guys on this video. I really hope that you enjoy it. I hope that I can be informative, or at least give you an idea as to what to expect and how to get started. Like, comment, subscribe. Come find me on SR71Industries_ on Instagram. Send me your builds. I want to see them. Until next time, good luck. Peace.